If you guessed kryptonite, you would be right. And what was kryptonite? If you recall, when Superman was born, he lived on a planet called Krypton. He was sent away from that planet because it was going to blow up. So his parents put him in a little blue blanket, put him in a rocket, and sent him off. And where did he wind up? Right here on Earth. Now, he did not have superpowers on Krypton, but he had superpowers here on Earth. Anytime he would encounter kryptonite, which was pieces of the planet that had exploded, his power was drained away. You know, each one of us at some point has had a spiritual awakening that brings us to where we are today. I don't think it's a On the overside, it would be stubbornness and pushiness and bossiness, maybe being a bully. On the other side of the rheostat, it would be weakness, limpness, the ability not to get anything done at all. Now, the next power that I would like to look at is will. Will is called the executive power of the mind. It is what we will to do. Now, we have the choice positively to be willing and to ask, thy will be done in me. The will for good, the will for God, the will to be, do, and say all that is good. On the other hand, if we are using either side of the pendulum of negative expression of the spiritual power of will, we would be willful rather than willing. Or we would have no will at all. You know, that's like those people who say, oh, I just have no willpower at all. Well, yes you do. All you have to do is what? Get centered and call forth that power of will. Thy will be done, not my will. Because God's will for us is good and only good. So let's now take a look at the spiritual faculty of imagination. That is the ability to vision and image divine ideas and then to prepare them for manifestation in our lives. Now, of course, on the good hand, that is the power to create wonderful things, to tell stories, to write songs, to do all these wonderful things the imagination can bring forth, build houses or cars, or it's just unlimited. Now, when we look at the negative aspects of imagination, on the one side, it could be crazy, wild imaginings. It could be being a daydreamer, not be able to actually take those things we image and do anything with them. It could also be a sense of being dull or unable to even catch an image. Let's move on now to the spiritual faculty of understanding. Understanding is our ability to comprehend. The word, as you recall from a couple of weeks ago, understanding is that which stands under us. It is our foundation. If we are not using our faculty of understanding correctly, we may be a know-it-all who is even unwilling to look at another option, seeing it's my way or the highway. On the other hand, it could be the inability or the lack of desire to even try to comprehend. I don't want to go there. It's just too much for me. No, it isn't. You are a divine being gifted with spiritual power. Speaking of power, let's look at the faculty of power. Rightly used, it is our innate control of our thoughts, our feelings, our words, and our actions. It is ours. Now, if we take that to the negative side, we see that it would be insulting on one hand, again, pushy, or on the other hand, being wishy-washy. You know, it's like Joyce Meyer would say, how can you claim that you are powerful if you can't exercise power over a sink of dirty dishes? You're sure as heck not going to have power anywhere else. We have power. And remember the importance of the power of your spoken word. Every word you speak forth takes divine ideas. It takes ideas and it clothes them with energy that lead to manifestation. It's like my mother always said, always keep your words soft and sweet because you never know if you may have to eat them. Now let's look at that power of wisdom and judgment. That is our ability to evaluate and discern. It is an intuitive knowing. Now we know that if we're not using that power to make wise decisions, we would be critical and judgmental. We would have a very poor sense of value. So you want to remember what? Stay balanced in your spiritual gifts of judgment and wisdom. Then we come to order. This is one of my favorite ones because I've changed a lot in my life with order. Metaphysics, which is one of the things that Unity teaches, is a philosophy based on the theory that the universe actually makes sense. Everything is unfolding in an orderly manner. Everything will unfold for good if and when we let it, okay? So when we begin to understand order, we are able to help things unfold in a healthy way in our lives. If we don't exercise that power, we may find that our life is disheveled and messy. On the other hand, we can be very anal and controlling, and everything has to be just so. Where do we want to be? In the middle, having a healthy sense of order in our lives. Outer order reflects inner order. Where do we start to get order? In peace, in prayer, and in silence. Then we come to our wonderful spiritual faculty of love. I love love. Do you love love? Love is the great harmonizing and attracting principle of the universe. Now, if we look at that spectrum of the both sides of the misuse of the power, the dark side of the power of love, we have things like lustfulness, promiscuity, or on the other side, coldness. To really love is to love for love's sake alone, not for what we even perceive we will get out of it. Stay centered. Then we've got zeal and enthusiasm, which is such a wonderful power to have. It is a passion. Now, let's look at that spectrum, the dark side of zeal. What would it be? Being overzealous, blowing up, or having no passion or fire within us at all. We want to take that spiritual rheostat and take that gift of zeal and channel it in positive directions. One of our very most important spiritual gifts is life. Life is the animating power. Again, here we have that spectrum on the dark side of the powers. On the one hand, we have life lived only for ourselves. On the other hand, we have a life that is dull and empty and has no meaning. Truly living life is participating in life. I invite you to take this wonderful gift. Remember that saying? Our life is a gift from God. What we do with it is our gift to God. Live and enjoy your life. And the last power, the conclusion of our series on how to be a superhero, is elimination and renunciation. It is time for us to learn to let go. When you are properly using your power of elimination and renunciation, you are able to live a life of divine circulation, giving and receiving, enjoying, letting go, being open in both directions. On the spectrum of the dark side of the 12 powers, for elimination and renunciation, we hang on to everything. We're pack rats, the inability to receive. And what you have to remember is if your hands are tight, clenching onto something, you cannot receive. What an adventure. 12 wonderful powers that you have. I invite you to ponder these powers. You can go to www.unity.org what you're doing, to drop the behavior, and to grow, because that's what you're here to do. I want you to know what I know for you, that the light of God surrounds you, the love of God enfolds you, the power of God protects you, and the presence of God watches over you.